Hello, Hollywood, and welcome to this morning's Walk of Fame ceremony. I think that deserves a little applause. We want to especially acknowledge our fans who are watching the live video stream courtesy of our media partner, Variety. I'm LaRon Gubler, President and CEO of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, which presents this program. Now today, composer Jerry Goldsmith will receive the 2,611th star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Let me tell you a little bit about Jerry, and for those of you who are here for the first time, let me just tell you, you're welcome to cheer for anything you like, okay? So, an Oscar and Emmy-winning composer, Jerry Goldsmith, was considered one of Hollywood's most respected and admired creators of music for motion pictures and television. The composer of such classic scores as Patton, The Sand Pebbles, you can cheer, A Patch of Blue, Poltergeist, Basic Instinct, Papillon, Rudy, Gremlins, Mulan, and L.A. Confidential. Jerry was sought after by filmmakers, acclaimed by critics, and adored by the Hollywood music community. Jerry was a native of Los Angeles. Classically trained, he studied piano and composition from a young age, and was, from the time he was a teenager, determined to write music for movies. After studying at both USC and Los Angeles City College right here in Hollywood, now some of you have to be familiar with those, he went to work at CBS, which employed him as a composer for radio and TV. He wrote his first score for a feature-length film, Black Patch, in 1957. Let me repeat that. Black Patch in 1957 is the first one he wrote for. Now, he continued to work in TV through the 1960s and early 1970s and composed scores and familiar themes, including Dr. Kildare, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and The Waltons. He received a total of 18 Academy Award nominations. And he won the Oscar in 1976 for Best Music Original Score for his powerful orchestral and choral score for The Omen. Two of the American Film Institute's top 25 scores of all time are by Jerry: Chinatown and Planet of the Apes. Jerry was nominated 7 times for an Emmy and won 5 Emmys for his television music, including the landmark miniseries QB7 and Masada, the TV movies The Red Pony and Babe, as well as the theme song for Star Trek Voyager. Now, Jerry's music is played virtually every hour of every day around the world. This is in part due to his many contributions to the big and small screen incarnations of the legendary Star Trek. He scored 5 of the movies for the franchise, and his heraldic theme for Star Trek the Motion Picture became the well-known signature for the long-running TV series Star Trek The Next Generation. During his career, which spanned more than 50 years, Jerry composed the music for nearly 200 films, over a dozen iconic TV themes, and another 20 TV movies and miniseries. Jerry received many honors during his lifetime, including Variety's first American Music Legend Award in 1995. And get this, he is immortalized with a statuette in his likeness, awarded each year at Spain's International Film Festival. And for the past decade, the film festival's highest honor, the Jerry, is awarded to an individual for excellence in the art of film music. How about that? In the days following his death in 2004, the beloved composer was declared a national treasure and was eulogized on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives with the following tribute. And this is what they said. Jerry Goldsmith leaves behind a distinguished repertoire of outstanding and memorable film scores and television themes that are as recognizable as they are innovative. So, today, you can applaud for that. Here on behalf of Jerry today are his wife Carol and his son Aaron, who is celebrating his birthday today. So, we'll be bringing Aaron to the stage a little later, but I have Carol here now. Carol, glad to have you with us. And if you'll stand right here. Now, before you get to hear from the family, we have a few guest speakers. They're kind of a who's who in musical composition. Our first speaker, in his 25-year career, has scored over 100 films, ranging from War of the Roses, Matilda, Bowfinger, and Heathers, to the more recent The Spirit, Serenity, and Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Squeakquel. His music has brought to life the critically acclaimed dramas Broke Down Palace and Hoffa, top-grossing comedies Scooby-Doo, Galaxy Quest, The Nutty Professor, The Flintstones, and award-winning animated films Ice Age and Anastasia, which holds an Academy Award nomination. He was the first composer to have his piece 1001 Nights performed in the Los Angeles Philharmonic's Film Harmonic series, conducted by Esa-Pekka Salonen. Please welcome David Newman to the stage.
I will be brief. I just want to give you guys a few anecdotes about my vision of what Jerry Goldsmith was from the point of view as a young 20-year-old session player violinist. So I graduated from USC. I'm 22 years old, and I'm starting to work, and I get a call to go on a session, and it's Jerry Goldsmith, and it's a movie called Contract on Cherry Street. It was a TV movie that Frank Sinatra was in. And I go and I sit down, and if those of you that know what an orchestra is made of, I sit down and there are 9 trombones sitting there. Generally in an orchestra, there's no more than 3 trombones, but this is the lovely thing about film music. You can do whatever you want. So I'm a young person. I think, wow, what are 9 trombones? What is he going to do with 9 trombones? And he made these 9 trombones, which is kind of an aggressive instrument, sing and be wistful and be powerful. It was an incredible introduction for me, really, into what Jerry Goldsmith was all about. I got the opportunity to conduct his score for Chinatown, I think in 2006 at Disney Hall, and I urge you to go to Google or go to YouTube and Google Jerry Goldsmith in Chinatown, and he tells the story of how he got that film and how he said he just made up an orchestra. So his orchestra is 4 pianos, 4 harps, strings, and a trumpet and percussion. And he said he just made it up on the spot because he didn't know what to say. He had very limited time. But when you watch that movie, if you watch it again, the first event over the main titles is 4 pianos strumming inside the strings, the piano, and it's like water falling. And then all 4 of the harps play a motive in unison, and it's like looking at a lake with the water moving back and forth. And so in 2 events, Jerry Goldsmith has completely set up and described what this movie is about. It's about water, it's about reflection. Later comes the noir trumpet and the beautiful string thing, but to me that is a consummate film composer. And the last story I want to tell is a little bit different. It's the Star Trek, the motion picture. I played violin on that, and I watched Jerry struggle with this. He was trying to find a theme, and he was still kind of in his early sort of mature style, and I think they wanted a more kind of bombastic theme, and I watched him make his original score into what the score originally became, and for a young person that eventually wanted to be a film composer, it was a lesson like no one else. Every Goldsmith movie you felt like you were in something special. So I just want to say, Carol, to you, that Jerry was one of a kind. His style, his mature style, he had for almost his whole career, which is a feat in and of itself. I've never met an artist like him. He was lovely to me. He was always young. He was always curious. He was always interested in music and in all its variety and beauty, and I miss him every day. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for sharing those memories with us. Now, our next speaker studied composition in Paris. In addition to extensive film and TV work, he has composed music for hit songs, including Killing Me Softly with his song, I Got a Name, Ready to Take a Chance Again. Classical compositions include 2 full-length ballets, Song for Dead Warriors and Zorro. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2004. Please welcome Charlie Fox to the stage.
I'm going to read because I didn't want to. Hi, everyone. Welcome. And thank you to the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce for making this great day happen. And thank you, my dear friend Carol Goldsmith, for giving me the opportunity to say some few words about your beloved Jerry on this memorable day. And to Aaron Goldsmith, too, thank you. I'm delighted to be here to speak about your dad. I know that Jerry would be delighted to look around and see all of you here to help him commemorate the star on the Walk of Fame. But for all of his great film scores that grace some of the most important and endearing motion pictures in history, and for all of his importance in the history of motion pictures, Jerry was very modest about that. I'm sure he would look around and say, "What's all this fuss about?" Jerry's music reached way down deep into the heart of the films that he composed the music for, and helped to underpin the very qualities that made those films so great and so memorable. His music could sweep you off your seat with the beautiful scoring, soaring melodies, as in Papillon. It could bring you to the world of film noir with an exquisite melody in a haunting setting that Dave describes so beautifully, as in Chinatown. It could raise the intensity of the film with dramatic, pulsating music that got under your skin and left you on the edge of your seat, as in The Omen. His music could surround you, could surround the character on the screen with an aura of bravado, almost to the level of holiness that defined the character that was Patton. And beneath all that, the depth of his composition was everywhere apparent in his music. Jerry Goldsmith is not only one of the greatest composers in film history, he is truly in the pantheon of great American composers. Several times in the last few years of his life, Jerry had concerts that he would conduct of his own music that he wasn't able to do, wasn't feeling well enough, and several times he asked me to conduct for him, which would not only my pleasure, but my great honor. One time I conducted a couple of concerts back-to-back in Tokyo and Yokohama in Japan with the Kanagawa Philharmonic with a chorus of 100 voices. And one of the pieces we did was the Omen score. I think it was the first time the Omen score was ever done live with an orchestra. That was, of course, his great Oscar-winning score. So, you know, it's one thing to hear someone's music and be moved by it and feel the intensity of it, especially as we sit in a darkened theater being taken over by the great effect of that film. But it's another to study the scores of a great composer and truly see what makes them so rich with expression, as I had the great pleasure to do. After one of those concerts, a man came over to me with his young daughter, and she said to me, "Scary music." It was truly scary, but also it was supposed to be. But it was also great and profound music, as so much of Jerry's music was. This is indeed a great and memorable day for a man, to commemorate a man who lived so much of himself in his great music for all of us to appreciate, to enjoy, and to be continually moved by. It's a great honor for me to speak on his behalf. Thank you, my dear Karen.
Thank you, Charlie. Let me acknowledge the chairman of the board of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Jeff Zaranam. Where's Jeff? Back here. And Jeff is the proud owner of the Hollywood Hotel, the Chateau Celeste, and the Hollywood Distillery. So we are delighted to have him with us today. Now, our last speaker today is known for timeless classics such as We've Only Just Begun, Rainy Days and Mondays, Evergreen, Just an Old-Fashioned Love Song, and Rainbow Connection. His music has been recorded by some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry. Three Dog Nights versions of Just an Old-Fashioned Love Song, Out in the Country, and Family of Man have sold millions of copies worldwide. Karen Carpenter's rich vocals made We've Only Just Begun, Rainy Days and Mondays, Let Me Be the One, and I Won't Last a Day Without You. Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Barbra Streisand, Willie Nelson, Kermit the Frog, and Luther Vandross are among the hundreds of artists who have recorded his songs. Please welcome a fellow Walk of Famer, Paul Williams, to the stage.
Thank you. Lower everything, except your expectations, because we're talking about Jerry Goldsmith. Mr. Newman I've never written with. I've written with Mr. Fox and of course with Jerry. And I'm amazed, first of all, Charlie, that when they listed your credits, they didn't list our song, the iconic theme from The Love Boat. I don't know how we got left out of there, but it's, you measure your success in Hollywood not so much by the success of the work that you're doing together, but by the people who hire you. And I thought one of the things that was most interesting is to look at the list of directors that chose to work with Jerry, that chose Jerry Goldsmith. Listen to this list: Robert Wise, Howard Hawks, Otto Preminger, Joe Dante, Richard Donner, Roman Polanski, Ridley Scott, Michael Weiner, Steven Spielberg, Paul Verhoeven. The list is, it's iconic. It's because Jerry was as brilliant a composer as the first great Hollywood composers. And Hank Mancini talked about the fact that if there's anybody that built a bridge between the Korngolds and the modern composer, it had to be Jerry Goldsmith, because the quality, the elegance of what he did, the orchestration was so remarkably emotional. And so we know what a brilliant man Jerry was when he sat down to do the work. I want to talk to you about what it was like to work with him when you're broken. I wrote the lyrics to two themes for Jerry. The first one was in 1982, I believe. The 80s are a little iffy for me. We wrote the song for the title song to The Secret of Nim, called Flying Dreams, together. And then years later, we wrote the title song for The Sum of All Fears, a song called If We Could Remember. I have to tell you that when Jerry called me to work with him on the first of our collaborative efforts, I was a mess. I was in the beginning throes of my addiction to alcohol and cocaine. I had a great reputation for some great success, but the person that was present and capable of doing that work really was beginning to slip away, and Jerry stuck with me. Jerry played me a melody that you couldn't write a bad lyric to. It was so emotional, it led you to whatever you're going to write. And I was impossible to work with. I kept putting off getting the work done. I wrote 4 opening lines, and he loved them, and he said, "But it's a 3.5-minute song, Paul. We're going to need a little more, So I was like, I'll be right with you. And talking to me was then I looked like a parrot. I was like, we're going to do this. Just a mess. Just a mess. But his patience and his heart were as large as his talent. and he talked to me, and I wasn't really there. I was like, oh, look, I'll come to a flight to London and play you the lyric, sing you the lyric. And he said, no, well, let's get some work done on it now. And I'd go home, and somehow the work came out, and I'm so proud of it. And none of it would exist if it wasn't for his willingness to just stay in that moment with me, you know. And I think he understood that I was suffering from the disease of addiction and all. And God bless him. I mean, that was 1982. Then I got sober just like that 8 years later in 1990, and we reconnected. And I wasn't exactly somebody that people were going to race to hire at that point, but God bless Jerry. He did a picture called The Sum of All Fears with Phil Alden Robinson, and he asked me, and I don't think it was an easy sale. I don't believe it was the easiest sale he ever made, but he got me the job. And the fact that we were able to work in that, there's one last little story about this job that is typical of Jerry. You know, Henry Mancini talked about when Jerry received it was like a Lifetime Achievement Award from the film preservation people. Hank Mancini said that Jerry was essentially the composer's composer. But what he did two things to the rest of the Hollywood community. First of all, he scared the hell out of them because of the brilliance of what he wrote. But he also kept them honest. And there was an element of honesty and rigorous honesty in the way he conducted himself and the way he did business that is beautifully, I think, and a great example would be this. I wrote a lyric for his melody that he loved. Yolanda Adams made a beautiful recording of it and everything. And there's a key scene in the movie where they decided that they were going to use that melody, but with the lyric in Latin. And I went, oh, all right, because she sings it at the end of the movie. But this is a big scene of bombing and terror and all this stuff, and the lyric would be a distraction, except if it were in Latin. And God bless Jerry, he didn't just throw in some, you could have thrown in anything. A few priests might understand it, but but he found somebody and had them translate my lyric to Latin. Nobody was going to hear that. Nobody was going to understand. That deserves a round of applause for the work that a man did.
Thank you so much.
For Mariana and I, we're here with a lot of our friends today, including Hal David's beautiful widow Eunice is here. And I was the last time I got to participate in one of these wonderful presentations, it was for Hal David. So Eunice, it's wonderful to have you here as well. And a round of applause for Hal David, is amazing talent. Because I spent spectacular evenings with Carol playing the piano, Jerry playing the second piano. For Mariana and I, it always felt like home. Thank you. God bless everybody. Jerry, gracias, maestro. All righty.
Oh, you sweetheart.
Thank you, Paul. Let me do one additional acknowledgement. We have with us today the captain of Hollywood's division of the LAPD, Corey Palka, back there. He's one of the tall ones back there. Always delighted to have our police captain with us. And let me also thank and acknowledge Carol and Aaron for donating one of Jerry's batons to the Walk of Fame for our Walk of Fame collection. Someday we hope to have a museum, and that will be in there. So thank you very much for that. At this time, I'd like to invite Aaron to come forward. We have a presentation to make on behalf of the City of Los Angeles. So we have here a beautiful resolution. Let me just say the City of Los Angeles actually owns these sidewalks, not the Chamber of Commerce. We just administer the walk for them. And they do these beautiful resolutions to recognize our honorees. And as you can see here, it's gorgeous in all different colors. And it really talks about some of his achievements, signed by the mayor and the councilman for Hollywood and the president of the city council. So on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, it's my pleasure to present this to you in Jerry's memory. All right. Oh, hold it a little straighter like that. selection. All right. So now it's time to hear from the family, and Carol's going to be representing the family. But let me just say one final word before Carol gets to speak. You know, today is Aaron's birthday. This would so thank you, Aaron. But there's a gentleman who shares your birthday, and he was the honorary mayor of Hollywood for about 30 years, and that was Johnny Grant. Many of you remember Johnny. This would have been his 94th birthday today. So in his memory, we today hereby declare this Jerry Goldsmith Day in Hollywood. Your turn to speak. Let me move this out
Okay.
here.
Thank you very much. What a special day this is. And it's Jerry Goldsmith Day. That is so exciting to know. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Thank you, all of you here, and everyone who's watching from around the world, to witness this dedication to Jerry Goldsmith for his glorious musical legacy. Jerry was my elegant, loving, brilliantly talented husband for 32 years before he passed away too soon. He was extremely modest and would not have sought this recognition for himself. But I think he would be happy that our son Aaron and I, with the encouragement of other family members and friends and esteemed colleagues and a lot of fans, pursued the appeal to the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce for a posthumous star to be awarded to Jerry and installed here on the Walk of Fame. I reached out through letters to illustrious filmmakers and artists who could boast of a Jerry Goldsmith score for their projects. In return, I got letters that were gracious and generous, full of praise and appreciation. I'd like to share a few short quotes from some of them. Donald Sutherland wrote, "Everyone knows how wonderful his music was, always will be. His music is a thread in the fabric of our lives." Director Paul Verhoeven, who is here today. May I speak for you, Paul, as I quote you? He wrote, "Working with Jerry was a complete joy." Jerry scored Paul Verhoeven's Basic Instinct and Total Recall. "Working with Jerry was a complete joy, for every film was a new adventure, as Jerry was able to adapt to the most diverse narratives and styles, absolutely unique in all its richness and nuance." Thank you, Paul. Dear Sir Richard Chamberlain wrote that Jerry was one of Hollywood's greatest composers, and he added that he began his acting career singing Jerry's beautiful theme for Dr. Kildare, "Three Stars Will Shine Tonight." Alec Baldwin, who starred in 3 films that Jerry scored, wrote, "I cannot think of anyone who deserves more to be enshrined as a symbol of Hollywood greatness than Jerry." I was just pausing for the bus. Watch Papillon, Islands in the Stream, and LA Confidential, and tell me if you don't agree. And to Alec Baldwin's quote, I'll add, yes, please always listen to Jerry Goldsmith's music and be more emotionally connected than you ever could have been without it, to gremlins and aliens, noble kings and knights, generals and small soldiers, madmen, devils and angels, to the fighting Irish and wilderness warriors of the skies. From my heart, I thank 3 stars in their own right, David Newman, Paul Williams, and Charlie Fox, for their beautiful words about Jerry. And my thanks to the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, especially to Anna Martinez and Mr. Gubler. I will close with this quote from director Fred Skepsey, for whom Jerry wrote 5 scores, including an inspired tango for 6 Degrees of Separation. I believe as the years go on, the brilliance of Jerry's work will be more and more recognized, as often happens with genius. Thank you sincerely for the honor of your presence today for this lasting tribute to Jerry.
So let's unveil that star. We'd ask all of our speakers to join us at the star. Yes.
There's a B.
Be good.
Be free.
There he goes. Read.
Or the storm. Very good at storm.
You did this.
I think Justin did it that way.
Close. Nice and clear.
Can we hold the screen?
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly welcome to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Jerry Goldsmith. Everybody to the left.
Charlie, to your left.
Over there.
Okay. So now, Aaron, Carol, Carol, stand.
Oh, that's a nice change.
Stand on the star.
All the way over here, please.
And right here, please.
Left, guys, on the left. Right here. Folks, right here, folks. Over here. Right over here. To the right, please. Right.
Okay. So now Carol and Aaron. Thank you so much.
Let's do a couple of hours.
To your right.
And right over here, please. To your right.
And straight ahead if you would. Keep going, please.
One more time to the right. To the right, please. Aaron, right here. Carol, right here, please. Carol, together. Carol.
To your right, please.
Aaron, Carol.
Right down here in the corner, please.
Oh, they're getting Carol,
I cannot tell you how awesome your husband is and your dad is.
Watch it, Adam.
Are you good at that? My answer is no. Thank you so much. love your I listened to literally my favorite sport. It's just so inspirational. I do this all the time, but I wanted to be here for this. This is such a wonderful performer. Great quality. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much. Get it, Bob. Short spot. Thank you so much. Careful, microphone. You good? Yeah.
Is anybody going to interview?